Have you ever looked at something and wished you could unsee it? I have. I'm looking at it right now. 7 X-ray images spread across a light box in a small room at St. Francis Medical Center in Tucson, Arizona. My daughter's bones, illuminated from behind, telling a story I wasn't supposed to know. Detective Maura Sefton is standing beside me. She hasn't said anything for almost 2 minutes, just letting me process. I can't process this. Mr. Varnell, she finally says, I need you to understand what you're seeing. I understand. That's the problem. I understand perfectly. The white lines on my daughter's ribs aren't supposed to be there. The shadows on her arm bones aren't supposed to be there. The crack in her collarbone, half healed, twisted slightly because nobody set it properly, isn't supposed to be there. My daughter is 11 years old. She's been paralyzed from the waist down since she was 6. She can't feel most of her body, she can't run away, she can't fight back. And someone has been breaking her bones for 3 years. We count at least 19 separate fractures, Detective Sefton says quietly. Some old, some newer. The radiologist has never seen anything like it. She called us before she even finished the full scan. 19 fractures, 3 years. My little girl. I think I'm going to be sick. Mr. Varnell, Garrett, I need you to sit down. I don't remember sitting, but suddenly I'm in a plastic chair, and Detective Sefton is pressing a cup of water into my hands. The water sloshes because my hands are shaking. Where is she? My voice doesn't sound like mine. Where's Iris? She's in a private room. Child Protective Services is with her. She's safe now. Safe now, which means she wasn't safe before. For 3 years, she wasn't safe. And I didn't know. I should have known. 2 hours earlier, I was mopping the floor of Westwood Elementary School's gymnasium. That's my job. Has been for 2 years and 7 months. I push a mop, empty trash cans, fix toilets, replace light bulbs. I make $14.50 an hour, which comes to about $29,000 a year before taxes. I live in a studio apartment above a laundromat on the south side of Tucson. The rent is $680 a month, and some nights I can hear my neighbors arguing through the walls. This is not the life I imagined for myself. 10 years ago, I was Garrett Varnell, senior project manager at Hendricks Construction. I made $94,000 a year. I had a house in a nice neighborhood, a wife who I thought loved me, and a daughter who was the center of my universe. Now I have a mop and a set of keys to a building I don't own. My phone buzzed while I was finishing the gym floor. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Telemarketers usually, or scams about my car's extended warranty, but something made me pick up. Mr. Garrett Varnell? Yes? This is St. Francis Medical Center. Your daughter Iris has been admitted to the emergency room. You're listed as her secondary. Emergency contact. My mop clattered to the floor. What happened? Is she okay? She took a fall at home. She's stable, but we'd like you to come in. I was out the door before the woman finished talking. Didn't clock out. Didn't tell anyone. Just ran to my truck and drove. Iris, my baby, my little girl with her mother's dark hair and my gray eyes. The last time I'd seen her was 6 weeks ago, during one of my supervised visitation hours. She'd seemed quiet, withdrawn. She'd flinched when I reached out to hug her, then covered it with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I should have pushed harder. Should have asked more questions. Should have known that something was wrong. But I didn't because I was afraid. Afraid that if I made waves, Sloan would cut off my visitation entirely. Afraid that I'd lose even those precious few hours with my daughter. So I stayed quiet. I smiled and pretended everything was fine, and I let my daughter go back to that house. God forgive me. I need to tell you about Sloan. We met in 2009 at a company softball game. She worked in HR at a firm that partnered with Hendricks on a big commercial project. She was beautiful, confident, the kind of woman who made you feel like the most interesting person in the room when she talked to you. I fell hard and fast. We were married within a year. For a while, it was good, or I thought it was good. Sloane had expensive tastes, but I made enough to indulge them. She wanted a bigger house, so we bought one. She wanted a nicer car, so we leased one. She wanted to quit her job and focus on finding herself, so I supported that too. When Iris was born in 2013, I thought we had everything. But Sloane wasn't built for motherhood. She loved Iris in her own way, I think, but the daily demands of parenting wore on her, the feeding, the changing, the sleepless nights. She started disappearing more, leaving me to handle things while she went to yoga or brunch or wherever she actually went. I didn't mind. I loved being Iris's father, loved every moment of it, even the hard ones. Then came the accident. Iris was 6 years old. Sloane was supposed to be watching her while I worked late on a deadline. Instead, Sloane was on the phone with someone. I later learned it was her lawyer friend, Dominic Blackford, while Iris played in the backyard. Iris fell from the swing set. Landed wrong. Severed her spinal cord. One moment, my daughter was a healthy, active little girl who loved to dance. The next, she would never walk again. The guilt nearly destroyed me. I wasn't even there. I was at work, trying to finish a project that doesn't even exist anymore for a company that doesn't matter. While my daughter's life changed forever. Sloane handled it differently. Instead of guilt, she felt inconvenience. I watched it happen. The way she sighed when she had to help with Iris's physical therapy, the way she rolled her eyes when our house needed modifications, the way she started, staying out later, coming home smelling like wine and expensive cologne that wasn't mine. Dominic Blackford. I didn't even suspect him at first. He was Sloane's friend from work, a divorce attorney she'd known for years. He started coming around more after the accident, offering support, giving advice. I thought he was being kind. I was an idiot. I found out about the affair when Iris was 7. Discovered texts on Sloane's phone while she was in the shower. Explicit messages, plans to meet, declarations of love. I confronted her that night. She didn't even try to deny it. I'm not happy, Garrett. I haven't been happy for years. Dominic understands me. He sees me. And what about Iris? What about our daughter? Iris will be fine. Children adapt. She's in a wheelchair, Sloane. She needs stability. She needs both of us. Then fight for her. Sloane's eyes were cold. But I'll warn you, Dominic is very good at what he does. She filed for divorce the next week, and Dominic Blackford, her lover, represented her in court. I couldn't afford anyone close to his caliber. My lawyer was a semi-retired guy named Wendell who did his best, but was completely outmatched. Dominic knew every trick, every loophole, every judge. He painted me as an absent father, a workaholic who prioritized his career over his disabled daughter. The irony burned. I had worked those hours to pay for the house Sloane demanded, the car she wanted, the lifestyle she expected. And now that work was being used against me. Sloane got primary custody. I got visitation every other Saturday, supervised because Dominic convinced the judge I might be emotionally unstable. The last thing Sloane said to me after the custody hearing still echoes in my head. You can't even carry her upstairs, Garrett. What were you going to do when she got bigger? Face it, you were never going to be enough for her. She married Dominic 3 months later. The years after the divorce were dark. Lost my job at Hendricks. Couldn't focus, couldn't perform, couldn't be the employee I used to be. They let me go with a decent severance, but that money disappeared fast. Legal fees, back payments on the house I'd lost, the apartment I'd had to rent. I spiraled, drank too much, slept too little, stopped caring about much of anything except those Saturday visits with Iris. She was the only light in my life. 12 hours a month with my own daughter. I made every single one count. But something was wrong. I could feel it. Iris changed over those 3 years. The bright, chatty little girl who used to tell me everything became quiet and guarded. She stopped making eye contact. She stopped laughing at my jokes. She started wearing long sleeves even in summer. I asked her once if everything was okay at home. "Everything's fine, Daddy." "Are you sure? You seem sad." "I'm not sad. I'm just tired." "Iris, you can tell me anything. You know that, right?" She looked at me then. Really looked. And for a moment, I thought she was going to say something. Her mouth opened slightly, her eyes filled with something that might have been hope. Then it was gone. The shutters came down, the mask went back on. "I know, Daddy, but there's nothing to tell." I didn't push. I should have pushed. But I was so afraid of losing her completely that I accepted the lie. She was protecting me. I know that now. Dominic had told her what would happen if she talked. Told her that I would get hurt, that she would never see me again, that nobody would believe a crippled kid anyway. He used that word. Crippled. My daughter told me later, after everything came out. He called her that regularly, among other things. I imagine him saying it sometimes. Late at night when I can't sleep, I imagine his face, his voice, the casual cruelty of it. And I imagine what I would do to him if we were ever alone in a room together. I got to St. Francis Medical Center in 19 minutes. The emergency room was chaos, as emergency rooms always are. Crying children, exhausted parents, the constant beeping of machines. I pushed through to the front desk. My daughter, Iris Varnell, she was brought in, a fall. The receptionist typed something. "Are you Garrett Varnell?" "Yes." "One moment, please." She picked up a phone, spoke quietly, nodded. "Sir, someone will be out to speak with you." "I want to see my daughter." "I understand. Someone will be right with you." I waited for what felt like hours but was probably 10 minutes, pacing, checking my phone, trying not to imagine the worst. Then a woman appeared. 40s, no-nonsense haircut, a badge that said Detective Maura Sefton, Tucson Police Department. Police. Why were the police here? "Mr. Varnell, could you come with me, please?" "What's going on? Where's Iris? Is she hurt?" "Your daughter is stable, but I need to speak with you privately before you see her." She led me through a maze of corridors to a small consultation room. Inside was another woman, younger, with a tablet and a gentle expression. She introduced herself as Dr. Camille Orozco, a child psychologist, a psychologist, and a detective for a fall. "Mr. Varnell, please sit down." Detective Sefton's voice was carefully neutral. "I need to ask you some questions and then I need to show you something." "Questions about what? What happened to my daughter?" "That's what we're trying to determine." She asked me about my relationship with Iris, about the divorce, the custody arrangement, my visitation schedule, about Sloan and Dominic, about whether Iris had ever mentioned anything concerning about her home life. I answered everything honestly. The shame of those answers burned, but I told the truth. That I only saw my daughter 12 hours a month, that she had become withdrawn and distant, that I had suspected something was wrong but never had proof. "Mr. Varnell," Detective Sefton said when I finished, "your daughter was brought in with a reported fall from her wheelchair. But during the routine x-rays, the radiologist discovered something unexpected." "What do you mean, unexpected?" She looked at Dr. Roscoe, then back at me. "I think it's better if I show you." That's how I ended up in front of that light box, staring at 19 fractures, staring at 3 years of abuse written in my daughter's bones. "We arrested your ex-wife 30 minutes ago." Detective Sefton's voice penetrated the fog in my brain. I looked up from the x-rays. "Sloan?" "She was here at the hospital when we got the radiologist's report. She's currently in custody, being questioned about the injuries." "What about Dominic? Her husband?" "We have officers en route to his office now." I stood up. My legs felt weak, but they held. "I need to see Iris." "I understand, but Mr. Varnell, I need to prepare you. Your daughter has been through significant trauma. She may not be ready to talk about what happened, and what she does say may be difficult to hear. I don't care, I need to see her." Detective Sefton nodded. Dr. Orozco will take you to her." The walk to Iris's room felt endless. Down one corridor, up an elevator, down another corridor. The hospital seemed designed to maximize distance, to stretch time until it lost all meaning. Finally, we stopped in front of a door. Dr. Orozco turned to me. "She's been asking for you," she said. "Since we separated her from her mother, you're the only person she's wanted to see. She's been asking for me." I pushed open the door. The room was small and sterile. Monitors beeped softly. A woman in a CPS jacket sat in the corner watching. And there, in the bed, was my daughter. Iris looked so small, so fragile. There was a bandage on her forehead, a cast on her wrist. Her dark hair was tangled, her face pale, but her eyes. When she saw me, her eyes filled with something I hadn't seen in years. Hope. "Daddy?" I was across the room before I knew I was moving. Sitting on the edge of her bed, gathering her into my arms as gently as I could, terrified of hurting her, terrified of what had already been done. "I'm here, baby. I'm here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." She was crying. I was crying. We held each other and cried for everything that had happened and everything that should never have happened. "I wanted to tell you," she sobbed against my chest. "Every time I saw you, I wanted to tell you. But Dominic said you would get hurt. He said if I told anyone he would make sure you went away forever. He can't hurt either of us now. He's going to prison, Iris. They both are. Promise?" "I promise." I held her until the tears stopped, until her breathing slowed, until she pulled back and looked at me with those gray eyes that were so much like mine. "Daddy, I need to tell you everything, all of it. Can you listen?" "I'll listen to anything you want to tell me. I'm not going anywhere." So she told me. It started. Small. That's what Iris said. That's how abuse always starts, I've since learned. Not with big dramatic violence, but with small cruelties that escalate over time. At first, it was just impatience. Dominic didn't like having a stepdaughter in a wheelchair, didn't like the ramps and the modifications and the extra work, didn't like that Sloan had to spend time on someone other than him. "She's dead weight," Iris heard him say once. "Why do we have to deal with her?" He started ignoring her, then snapping at her, then finding reasons to punish her. She spilled juice on his paperwork? He grabbed her arm so hard it bruised. She took too long getting ready for school. He shoved her wheelchair into a wall. She cried too loudly after a nightmare. He twisted her wrist until she was silent. And Sloan watched. Sloan knew. Sloan did nothing. "Mom said I needed to be better," Iris told me, her voice flat and hollow. She said Dominic had a stressful job and I was making things harder. She said if I just behaved, he wouldn't get so angry. The fractures accumulated, a rib here, a finger there, things that Iris couldn't feel because of her paralysis, things she only discovered later when she saw the bruises or the swelling. They never took her to the hospital. Dominic was too smart for that. He knew how to hurt her in ways that wouldn't require medical attention, and when something did need treatment, Sloan would take her to different urgent care facilities, giving fake names, paying cash. She told them I fell a lot, Iris said, because of the wheelchair. She said paralyzed kids get hurt all the time and it wasn't a big deal. For 3 years, this was her life. Pain she couldn't always feel, fear she always felt. A mother who had chosen her husband over her daughter. A stepfather who saw her as an obstacle to be controlled through violence. And me, her father. 12 hours a month away, completely oblivious. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, even though I already knew the answer. "Because I knew you'd try to stop it. And Dominic said if you tried anything, he'd destroy you. He said he'd done it before. He said making people disappear was easy for someone like him. A lawyer who made people disappear, who knew how to manipulate the system, how to silence victims, how to get away with anything. I thought about all the times I'd suspected something, all the times I'd almost asked harder questions. All the times I'd back down because I was afraid. I was afraid of Dominic, afraid of losing my visitation, afraid of making things worse. And while I was being afraid, my daughter was being broken. The investigation moved fast. Detective Sefton and her team executed a search warrant on Sloan and Dominic's house that same night. What they found made the case airtight. A closet with a lock on the outside. Iris's room when she misbehaved. Medical supplies, bandages, splints, things used to treat injuries that should have been treated by doctors. A journal that Dominic kept. A detailed record of disciplinary actions going back 18 months. He had documented his own abuse, either out of arrogance or some twisted need for control. And photographs. Polaroids hidden in a safe in Dominic's home office. Pictures of injuries. Evidence he kept, for what purpose I don't want to imagine. They arrested Dominic at his office the same day. He tried to talk his way out of it, tried to use his legal expertise to create doubt. But the evidence was overwhelming. The x-rays, the journal, the photographs, Iris's testimony. For once, the system worked. The charges were extensive. Aggravated child abuse, criminal neglect, assault on a minor. Because some of the abuse had occurred during custody exchanges, which technically fell under federal jurisdiction, additional federal charges were added later. Sloan faced her own set of charges. Criminal negligence, accessory to child abuse, failure to report, obstruction. She tried to claim ignorance at first, said she didn't know how bad it was, said Dominic had fooled her too, but the journal mentioned her by name, mentioned times she had watched, times she had held Iris down. There was no ignorance, only choice. The trials took 11 months. 11 months of depositions, hearings, testimony, 11 months of watching lawyers argue about what had happened to my daughter, reducing her suffering to evidence and exhibits. Dominic went first. His defense was predictable. He claimed the injuries were accidents, claimed Iris was clumsy because of her disability, claimed the journal was taken out of context, that disciplinary actions were just normal parenting. The jury didn't believe him. Guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced him to 22 years in state prison, with federal charges to follow. He would be nearly 70 before he was eligible for parole. I was in the courtroom when they read the verdict. I wanted to feel triumph, wanted to feel justice, but all I felt was tired. 22 years couldn't give Iris back what was taken from her, couldn't heal the fractures, physical or otherwise, couldn't undo the nightmares she still had, the flinching, the way she sometimes went silent for hours and stared at nothing. Justice isn't healing. It's just accountability. And accountability is better than nothing, but it isn't enough. Sloan's trial came 2 months later. She took a plea deal rather than face a jury, pled guilty to felony child endangerment and accessory charges in exchange for testimony against Dominic in his federal case. The judge gave her 9 years. 9 years for watching her daughter be brutalized. 9 years for holding her down. 9 years for choosing a man over her child. I sat in the gallery when they sentenced her. She looked at me once, just before they led her away. I expected to see hatred, or defiance, or maybe even remorse. I saw nothing. Her eyes were empty. Whatever Sloan Varnell had once been, whatever I had once loved, was gone. Just a shell going through the motions. Good, I thought. Let her feel empty. Let her feel nothing. That's more than Iris got. Emergency custody was granted to me the day of Sloan's arrest. Getting Iris out of that hospital and into my life was the easiest legal process I've ever experienced. The same system that had failed us so completely before suddenly couldn't move fast enough to make things right. But right is a complicated word. My studio apartment above the laundromat wasn't suitable for a child in a wheelchair. The bathroom was too small, the doorways too narrow, the stairs to the street impossible without help. I had $62 in my checking account the day Iris came home with me. $62, a janitor's salary, and a daughter who needed more than I could provide. What happened next still surprises me. The story made the news. Not national news, but local, a segment on the evening broadcast about the abuse case, about the x-rays that had revealed everything, about the little girl in the wheelchair whose father had never stopped fighting for her. That last part wasn't entirely accurate. I had stopped fighting in many ways. I had accepted my limited visitation. I had stopped pushing when Iris said she was fine. I had let fear make me passive. But the news needed a hero, and I was the only candidate available. The community responded. A GoFundMe appeared, started by someone I had never met. Within a week, it had raised $47,000. Within a month, over $120,000. People I didn't know sent money, sent letters, sent offers of help. A contractor I had worked with years ago at Hendricks called me, said he had a crew ready to modify any apartment I found, free of charge. A disability advocacy group offered legal assistance to help me navigate the system. A woman whose daughter had also been in a wheelchair before passing away offered me all of her equipment, ramps, rails, a specialized shower chair. "She doesn't need them anymore," the woman said, crying, "and I need them to go somewhere good." I found a 2-bedroom apartment on the first floor of a building with wide doorways and an accessible bathroom. The contractor and his crew spent a weekend making it perfect. The advocacy group helped me apply for assistance programs I didn't know existed, and Iris came home. Not to a studio above a laundromat. Not to supervised visitation every other Saturday. Home. Really home. The first night in our new apartment, I made her favorite dinner. Spaghetti with meatballs, garlic bread, chocolate cake for dessert. She ate more than she had in months. She laughed at a joke I made, and the sound was so unfamiliar that I almost didn't recognize it. Later, when she was in bed, I sat on the floor outside her door and cried. Not from sadness, from relief. She was home. She was safe. Whatever came next, we would face it together. Recovery isn't a straight line. That's what Dr. Amara Osi told me during one of our family therapy sessions. She's been working with Iris and me for 2 years now, helping us rebuild what was broken, teaching us how to be a family again. There will be good days and bad days, she said. Progress and setbacks. The important thing is to keep showing up, keep trying, keep believing that it gets better. I clung to those words during the dark times. The nights when Iris woke up screaming from nightmares. The days when she wouldn't speak, wouldn't eat, wouldn't do anything but stare at the wall. The times when she flinched away from my touch, even though I would never hurt her, because her body remembered pain that her mind was trying to forget. I kept showing up, kept trying, kept believing, and slowly, impossibly, it did get better. The nightmares became less frequent. The silent days became rare. The flinching stopped almost entirely. Iris started drawing again, something she had loved before the abuse. She filled sketchbooks with images. Dark ones at first, shadowy figures and broken things. But over time, the drawings became lighter. Flowers, animals, our apartment with sunlight streaming through the windows. She started school again, a special program for kids with disabilities and trauma histories. She made friends, joined an art club, started talking about maybe going to college someday. 2 years after she came home, she showed me a drawing she had made. It was me, pushing a mop across a gymnasium floor. Behind me, through a window, you could see a small figure in a wheelchair, waving. "That's us," she said. "You at work, me at school, but we're still connected, see? Even when we're apart." I hung that drawing on the refrigerator, where it still is today. I'm still a janitor, still make $14.50 an hour, still push a mop, empty trash cans, fix toilets, replace light bulbs, but I don't see it the same way anymore. After everything happened, after the trials and the recovery and the slow rebuilding, I realized something important. I spent years being ashamed of my job, ashamed that I had fallen so far from who I used to be, ashamed that I couldn't provide for Iris the way Sloan and Dominic could, with their big house and their expensive things, But their big house was a prison. Their expensive things were props in a horror show. All the money and status in the world didn't make them good people. Didn't protect my daughter. Didn't mean anything at all. I push a mop, I clean up messes, I make sure kids have safe, healthy spaces to learn and grow. That's not nothing, that's something. And every day when I come home, my daughter is there, safe, loved, healing. That's everything. Iris is 14 now, she's in 8th grade, getting mostly A's, talking about wanting to study art therapy so she can help other kids who have been through trauma. I know what it's like, she told me. The fear, the loneliness, the feeling that nobody understands. I want to be the person who understands, who helps. I told her that was the best thing I had ever heard. She rolls her eyes at my jokes now, which her therapist says is a sign of healthy teenage development. She argues with me about bedtimes and screen time and whether she really needs to eat vegetables. Normal parent-child stuff. The kind of stuff I dreamed about during those years of supervised visitation. Last month, she asked me a question. We were doing dishes together. She washes, I dry. Our nightly routine. "Daddy, do you ever wish I wasn't disabled?" I set down the plate I was drying. "I wish you hadn't been hurt. I wish the accident never happened. But disabled?" I shook my head. "Your disability isn't who you are. It's just part of your story. And your story is pretty amazing, Iris." "Even the bad parts?" "Even the bad parts, because the bad parts led to now. And now is pretty good, isn't it?" She thought about that for a moment. "Yeah," she said finally. "Now is pretty good." She went back to washing dishes. I went back to drying. The kitchen was quiet except for the clink of plates and the splash of water. Pretty good, that's what we have. Not perfect, not easy, but good. I'll take it. I got a letter from Sloan last month. She's been writing every few months since she went to prison. I've never opened any of them. Just write "return to sender" on the envelope and put it back in the mail. But this time I hesitated. I don't know why. Maybe because Iris has been doing so well. Maybe because I finally started to feel like we're past the worst of it. Maybe because some small part of me wanted to know if Sloan had changed, if prison had taught her anything, if there was any remorse in her at all. I opened it. The letter was 4 pages long. I'll spare you most of it. The excuses, the justifications, the revisionist history that painted her as another victim. But there was one paragraph near the end that stuck with me. "I know you'll never forgive me. I wouldn't forgive me either. But I need you to know that I think about Iris every day. I wonder who she's becoming. I wonder if she's happy. I wonder if she's drawing again, like she used to when she was little. I don't deserve to know these things, I just wonder. Tell her I'm sorry. If she ever wants to hear it, tell her I'm sorry." I read that paragraph 3 times. Then I tore the letter into pieces and threw it away. Sorry isn't enough. Will never be enough. You don't get to break a child and then apologize from a prison cell and expect the world to move on. Iris asked me once if I thought her mother loved her. "I think your mother has something broken inside her," I said. "Something that makes it hard for her to love anyone the way they deserve to be loved, including herself. That's sad. It is sad, but it's not your fault, and it's not your job to fix it." Iris nodded slowly. "I don't hate her," she said. "I just don't feel anything. Is that wrong?" "It's not wrong. It's just where you are right now. Maybe that will change someday. Maybe it won't. Either way is okay. What about you? Do you hate her?" I thought about it. I hate what she did, what she allowed to happen. But hate is heavy, Iris. It takes up space that I'd rather fill with other things, with you, with our life, with moving forward. "So, you're letting it go?" "I'm trying. Some days are easier than others." She reached over and squeezed my hand. "I'm trying too, Daddy. We can try together." There's a photograph on my nightstand. It's from last summer. Iris and me at the Grand Canyon. She's in her wheelchair, I'm crouched beside her, both of us grinning at the camera. Behind us, the canyon stretches into forever. layers of red and orange and gold. We saved for that trip for a year, packed sandwiches instead of eating out, stayed at a budget motel instead of a fancy lodge, did everything on the cheap. It was the best vacation of my life. At one point, we were sitting at an overlook, watching the sunset paint the canyon in impossible colors. Iris was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Daddy, thank you." "For what?" "For not giving up. When I was with Mom and Dominic, I used to think about you. I used to imagine you coming to rescue me like in the movies. But then I'd tell myself that was stupid, that real life doesn't work like that." She turned to look at me. "But you did come. Maybe not the way I imagined, but you came. You fought for me. You never stopped." I didn't know what to say. The truth was, I hadn't come. Not really. The X-rays had come. The radiologist who called the police had come. The system, for once, had come. I had just been pushing a mop, waiting for my 12 hours a month. "I wish I had done more," I finally said. "I wish I had fought harder sooner. I wish I had known." "You couldn't have known. They made sure of that." I should have pushed harder, asked more questions, not accepted your answers when you said you were fine. "Maybe," Iris shrugged, "but you know what? You're here now. You're here. And I'm here. And we're watching the sunset at the Grand Canyon. That matters. That matters more than what happened before." I put my arm around her. She leaned her head against my shoulder. "I love you, Daddy. I love you too, Iris, more than anything in the world." We sat there until the sun was gone and the stars came out, until the air got cold and we had to head back, until the moment passed into memory. But the memory stays. The memory of my daughter beside me. Safe, healing, home. That's what I carry with me now. Not the X-rays, not the fractures, not the 3 years of hell, the sunset, the canyon, the two of us, together. That's my story. If you're still here, thank you for listening. I didn't tell this story for sympathy. Didn't tell it for revenge or justice or any kind of closure. I told it because somewhere out there, maybe watching this video right now, is a parent who suspects something is wrong with their child, who has that feeling in their gut that won't go away, who wants to ask harder questions but is afraid of the answers. Ask anyway, push anyway, don't be like me. Don't wait until an X-ray reveals what you should have uncovered years earlier. Don't let fear of the system, or fear of consequences, or fear of anything keep you from protecting your child. They need you. Even when they say they're fine, even when they push you away, even when every instinct tells you to back off and let it be. They need you. And if you're a child watching this, if you're living what Iris lived, if someone is hurting you and you're afraid to speak up, please listen to me. It's not your fault. You're not alone. And there are people who will believe you. Teachers, doctors, police officers, strangers on the street, someone will listen. Someone will help. You just have to find the courage to speak. Iris found that courage, eventually. And now she's safe. You can be too. Iris is doing homework in the next room right now. I can hear her music playing softly, some pop song I don't recognize. She's probably drawing in the margins of her notebook, like she always does. In an hour, we'll have dinner together. Then maybe watch a movie or play a board game. Then she'll go to bed, and I'll sit on the couch for a while, enjoying the quiet. Tomorrow, I'll wake up early and go push a mop. She'll go to school and learn things that will help her become whoever she's meant to be. We'll come home to our apartment and do it all again. It's not exciting, it's not dramatic, it's just life. But it's our life. Mine and hers, built from the wreckage of everything that came before. Sloan said I couldn't carry Iris upstairs. She was right, I can't. But I can carry her through life. Through the good days and the bad days, through the healing and the setbacks, through everything that comes next. That's what fathers do, that's what I do. And I will keep doing it for as long as I live, like this video if it meant something to you. Subscribe for more stories of ordinary people facing extraordinary circumstances. Share it with someone who might need to hear it, and if you know a child who needs help, don't wait. Don't hesitate. Be the X-ray that reveals the truth. Be the voice that speaks up. Be the reason their story has a better ending. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one.